up in Joshua Way if you're from there, born in Cleveland. And I guess when I was in grade school, I was very sickly. I was kept in a lot. And I would finish my work, whatever the teachers gave me, and they would give me extra busy work. Some of it was drawing. And I couldn't run very fast or, athletically, couldn't do much, but I could draw, and I found a knack for it. But what the teachers would do is they type the questions up and leave a blank space for me to draw this picture on. And so I had access to the questions before the test, a couple of days. Well, I wasn't an idiot. I mean, I memorized as many as I could then and went back and studied and, did fairly good on it. Well, I went a couple of years to college, Tarrant Junior College in Fort Worth. I was in the first class that ever attended school there. They just finished the school, little junior college, and enrolled as a potential art major, even though it was a junior college. And then I also took some courses at TCU. But after a couple of years, I thought, I really want to paint, really want to be an artist. I don't know what it's going to take to get there. I didn't know anyone was professional at that time. And decided that, okay, I'm going to get a job and try to do this part-time or whatever. And so went into carpenter work, enjoyed it, and would paint a little bit part-time, do a little stuff, then, every once in a while on weekends. Then I started doing the little shows and things part-time, little, enter these little things, and it just kind of mushroomed on itself. Brad Smith came to me one afternoon and he said, hey, why don't you go with me to Dallas, and I want to take you over to a gallery and show you some stuff. Great, fantastic. So we loaded up, took a couple of 3 pieces, and it was Texas Art Gallery. I had no idea. I had no idea that people were doing realistic artwork for sale and making a living out of it. And Burford talked to me about an hour and a half, but at the end of the conversation, he said, all right, I want to handle your work. What have you got you can leave with me today? Well, of the 3 pieces, one was unsold, and it was a character study of an old farmer I'd done, local guy from Rio Vista, Joshua, somewhere. We consigned it for, I would probably have asked $100 for it. He put $450 on it. And that weekend, I went back, and it was in the front window on Main Street, downtown Dallas, sitting there. It was my little painting. And about 2 weeks later, I got a check. They'd sold it. You swallow the hook. It was totally, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know how long it's going to take to do this, whatever. About the second or third time I went to Texas Art Gallery, I parked in the Adolphus parking garage. And there was a gentleman standing there waiting on his vehicle to be brought down. He had on a cowboy hat and a belt buckle with CA on it. I said, great looking buckle, what's CA? And he said, I'm Cowboy Artist of America, I'm Jim Bourne. So I got to meet him there, but didn't get to, he asked, told me to come see him, whatever. But then I was living there on the west side of Cleveland, and I believe I'd had a show at that time with Texas Art Gallery. Martin Greeley and Nancy Boren came up to me after one of the shows and introduced themselves. Martin was going to have a one-man show in Bosque County coming up. After I came down to that show for Martin Greeley, I realized how beautiful Bosque County was, and that I wanted to try to make a home here. And bought this place, on the outskirts of Meridian. Lived on the Campbell Ranch between Morgan and Walnut. Anyway, it all kind of gelled because of not only the beauty of the county, and the folks here and how gracious and understanding they were, but also the art was already established here. The Bosque Seven was born, I think, because of, it wasn't the exhibit we did at the museum, but it was something, you know, that was just kind of a moniker. I know that Seth Hopkins in the Booth Museum invited Martin and Bruce, Tony and I to come down for something, and he put a moniker on us like the Bosque Mafia. Of course, Mel and Jim Bourne were here. Didn't know them that well. You know, I went to see Jim a couple of times. I saw Melvin a couple of times at some ranch parties, things like that. But I know that Martin and I were in the first CA workshop in Kerrville. We were in the first class together, and we just had a great time. Melvin taught the workshop, and Harvey Johnson was another CA member, was also in the workshop. Harvey told us, he pulled Martin and I in together and sat us down and said, hey, y'all are doing the right thing, you just got to keep doing it, you know, this kind of deal. But I really can't tell you who gave it the name, but it comes back from the, you know, the Tucson Seven and the Taos painters and that kind of thing. Everybody always thinks it's so unusual to have this many nationally recognized artists living in such a small community. I tell everybody it's stucco walls and tile roofs, I think, that haunt me. I've always liked realism, but I've also liked impressionism, so that, you know, I've always wanted my work to look realistic from a distance, but as you get up close to it, it's put on pretty impressionistically. It's applied pretty loosely. And I've also tried to capture, again, that light, that reflected light, the washed out areas, the things that a camera can't capture. You can see into the darks, that kind of thing. And again, tell a story maybe. That's what we try to do with everything we do. Whether it leads you to a happy spot, or brings back a memory, or it touches your childhood, or makes you remember a vacation even. I think it helps us. I think it helps us emotionally. I think it helps us find peace.